All right, what's up, Stalemates? We are back with episode 2 with the Jake and Corby show. So far, that's the name. We're still waiting on suggestions for the names, but last week we previewed Super 32. Jake went 9 for 14. Corby went 8 for 14, something like that, right? Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
And so yeah, Jake and Corby are back this week. Tyler is out of commission today, but shout out to Tyler. Shout out to Barbarian Apparel, our show sponsor as well, presented by Barbarian Apparel. You see it, you see it. This guy's got on Barbarian Apparel as well. Corby, how you doing?
Good, man. Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. And this guy wishes he had Barbarian Apparel on. Jake, how you doing?
I'm great, ready to rock and roll.
All right, well, let's go ahead and add in Corby here. And Corby, we watched Super 32 happen over this past weekend. Another good Super 32 tournament. I had fun watching the finals. Like I said, off camera, I got to watch most of Sunday. Jake was coaching, so he watched as much as he could. He had a front row view for the Southeast Polk guys, and I'm sure some other guys as well. Did you quarter anybody else?
Nope, just gotta be able to go watch and kind of just be around all the Iowa guys, and it's always a good time to get to watch those guys compete.
All right, well,
I
let's
don't.
get. Go ahead.
I don't think you technically cornered any of the Polk guys either, did you?
No, just hanging out in the back. Luckily, TJ was there, and then we got another club coach there that was coaching Slade, so all good there. I'm just kind of there to help support them and just be around and watch them compete.
I actually saw you in the very background of some streams. I always want to take a picture of the flow streams when I see Jake in the back, like just kind of hanging out on the side, on somewhere, standing around the mat somewhere. Usually, I see you.
Oh, I got plenty of texts and phone calls about people seeing me in the background, so I wouldn't be mad if you did.
All right. Well, let's get right to it. We'll talk about some of the matches that you guys saw. Yeah, I guess point out some of the things that you guys think is important for the people to pay attention to. Was there anything that was like overly shocking over the weekend?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think Jack's Forest losing early on in the tournament was a big shock to a lot of people. I know Jordan Rainey's really good, and I know he had a really good finals match with Lilidal, but I didn't see that one coming. I did pick Lilidal because I thought Forrest's draw was a lot worse and had a hard. I thought he was going to have a harder time making the finals, which is why I picked Lilidal, and it ended up coming true. But I know that was a huge one for me. I mean, what'd you see, Corby?
No, that was a big one for me. I mean, Rainey down big in that match, pins Forrest. He's also down, a handful of craps, comes back, pins craps. So, Rainey's dangerous from anywhere. Two young kids, right? Both freshmen, really impressive. Can wrestle from anywhere. Actually, a couple things stood out to me. And Bo Bassett, um, you know, being smart, being savvy, being able to withstand the early pressure of Knox, staying in the match, wrestling hard, scoring his points. I mean, Bo Bassett looked amazing. And the most impressive thing to me this weekend was PJ Duke. I mean, PJ Duke, sophomore in high school, this kid's amazing. The the positions he's in, I mean, to me, PJ Duke's probably the I mean, it'd be Ferrari and Duke to me right now, probably being your top two guys. Man, I Duke's good. Duke's really good. So, I mean, I think Ferrari right now is probably the best kid, but this Duke's going to be special, really special.
Was there anybody from the last show that we did that you guys pointed out was somebody to look out for that you're pretty proud of that pick and how it turned out, I guess?
I mean, for me, for me, it's Lilidal. I mean, obviously, I don't think many people had him picked to win. And then, same thing with Bassett. Like Corby said, I think a lot of people kind of wrote him off a little bit. I know that's maybe not the right wording, but he had a bad Fargo. He had been a previous world champ. He's had a couple losses here and there. For him to come out and he didn't dominate Knox, but he wrestled really, really well. I felt like he was somewhat in control of most of the match, so that was extremely impressive. And then, Lilidal is just extremely gifted and talented. He has a lot of ways to score. So him over Rainey wasn't surprising me. I was actually surprised how close the match was. But for him to win that bracket was extremely impressive. I mean, Kilcarry looked awesome. Obviously, Forrest is good. Marcus Blaze got 7th or yeah, you got 8th. So I mean, that's an extremely tough bracket for Little Dog to win.
Yeah, I mean, Joey Blaze. I mean, wow. Are you kidding me? Joey Blaze was nails. I mean, ice water in his veins all weekend. Ohio kid, Purdue commit. I mean, Joey Blaze was amazing. He really impressed me this weekend as well. Um, and we got to see Nakbaborn Rogotsky again. Um, Jude Correa to me, and hey, and that was a good one of Sinclair by you too, Jake. I mean, Sinclair makes the finals, but he gets dinged up, so he's not able to compete in the final. So we had a default there. But I mean, Correa's jumping levels, young kid. We've got a lot of really good young talent in this country, so it'll be interesting to see, in the future what happens, where a lot of these kids go. I mean, they can't all go to Penn State, right? I mean, they're going to get a lot of these kids, but they can't get them all. So it'll be interesting to see where some of these kids land.
Another guy that really impressed me was Ladarian Lockett. I know, close match in the finals, but for him being as young as he is to, be calm, cool, and collected the entire time. I mean, he looked really impressive. I got to watch him warm up and drill, and it was pretty amazing to watch how he handled his, pre-match warm up. So I think he's as good as we all thought he was going to be.
Yeah, also impressive too. Hayden Walters up at 220, not a really a 220, probably going to be a 97 in college for a couple of years at least. And so, I mean, 220, he kind of, handled that bracket. So, you know, it'll be uh it'll be interesting to watch his development at Michigan. So, um, yeah, other than that, with Super 32, I mean, I think we hit on the main the main players there. Anything else like from you, Zach? I know you got to tune in a little bit. Was there anything that stood out to you?
I do want to bring up something with you, Corby, by the way.
Yes, let's do it.
You got in a little bit of beef this weekend. You were in the Twitter streets pretty heavy, and I know you enjoy a good debate, a good conversation. I believe that the
Yeah.
debate was that you said that Super 32 lost some prestige. Are you saying that it lost all prestige, or there's an element of prestige that is now gone because of the number of participants that are now in there?
That's what I'm getting at, right? It's hard to, 160 or what maybe they extended those characters now on Twitter. I'm not sure. I'm kind of new to the game, as you know, on the social media platforms. But it's kind of what that's exactly what it's like to me. It's yeah, the depth, right? You still have, I mean, you have all your guys, right? All your depth is still there. You still have all your top guys in the country. I just think when you're going down that far, right, you got some fluff, right? Some of those top guys got to go and, chew through maybe 2, 3, 4 matches that, maybe, in past years they wouldn't have had to, and then and I wasn't going to come out and blast them, but a lot of it too, it comes down to like, now you got middle school, you got kids, you got VIP weigh-ins for, $25 a pop up to 700 people for this and that. It's like, 27 extra grand in VIP weigh-ins. It's already a 1 day or a one weigh-in for a 2 day tournament. I mean, I don't know. To me, like I'm all for people in wrestling, making a living and making money, but when you start doing stuff like that, to me, it's just that's just I don't like it, and I'm gonna call it out, right? And I know people. There's people that aren't gonna call that out, right? And that's okay, right? They can sit behind it and not want to speak their mind, and that's okay. That's not who I am, and I'm gonna call a spade, and I see that right there. That's to me, get taking advantage of people, right? Maybe they should have hired more people in the parking lot and a few people for parking. I heard it was a nightmare. People were backed up for miles trying to get in and they had to delay the start, right? So I don't know. I could go on and on, but great tournament. Nothing against those people that run the tournament. They've done a great job for years. They started this thing 22 years ago from nothing up to something. But let's not forget what it used to be and what wrestling is all about. So anyway, that's my rant. That's it. That's where I was coming from. And I know Joe was getting hot or whatever, the Caprino guy out of 800-pound gorilla boy or whatever his name, and he was getting on me and whatever. But it is what it is. I understand, and he's probably upset. And it's nothing against Joe, and I know he helps out with the tournament, and he told me to start running my own. Listen, I'm not in the business of running tournaments, and I'm never gonna. But when you're gonna run them, do them right, and I don't like the way that they expanded it now. I looked back years. I mean, there was some of the weights had like 100 extra kids compared to 10 years ago. So that's quite a bit of discrepancy. So anyway, let's move on. Let's talk college. Super 32 is in the books.
All right, we're moving on here. We Corby sent me a message, or no, you put out a tweet not too long ago about the 125 pounders that people should look out for this upcoming year, and we talked off camera a little bit that we thought this would be a pretty good segment for the show. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go through each weight and kind of pick one or two guys. I'm gonna let Jake and Corby take the wheel and pick one or two guys at each weight that they think that you guys should be on the lookout for. Now, it's my understanding that these guys are all freshmen and redshirt freshmen, so you probably haven't seen these guys wrestle in a dual meet setting or anything like that. These guys are, this is all based off of their high school performances and their open performances from their, true freshman year. Some of these guys are true freshmen, so we'll go weight by weight here. We're going to go through and start at 125. Corby, I also want you to explain kind of your thought process through this. So why don't you go ahead and start at 125?
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking, of some of the newcomers out there, the freshmen and the redshirt freshmen that are gonna, be in the lineups this year that we could possibly see. We're gonna have freshmen can wrestle in 5 matches, so we're gonna see some guys, and then the redshirt freshmen that are gonna be in the lineup this year. If you were a freshman last year and you wrestled, in the lineup, you're not going to be included in this. This is all for kind of newcomers to the scene, newcomers to the lineup, for guys to kind of keep an eye on. So I'll start off at 25. I'm going to go with two guys here that I think you need to keep an eye on. One is, I mean, obviously Joey Volk, right? I mean, we saw what Joey Volk did this summer. Amazing summer he had. Ended up coming home with a world championship. Um, so he's a true freshman. I imagine we see him for sure in the 5 matches. Do they pull his red shirt right away? I mean, it'd be silly to, right? I mean, you get your guys into your 5 competitions and then kind of decide. So Joey Volk's one to look out for, and another one is this one is kind of like one of my buddies from high school. Kid was a year younger than me, weight class below me. Jack West. His son is Blake West, going to Northern Illinois University. He was 8-2 in opens a year ago. He was a two-time Minnesota State champ. He was a Fargo finalist. He had 98 pins in high school. So he's going to Northern Illinois, and he's a Minnesota kid, 4.0 student. So I grew up, a few blocks down from his dad. We wrestled our whole lives together. So his son, up and coming freshman or redshirt freshman this year at Northern Illinois, and he'll be starting at 125. So keep an eye out for him. And who else you see, Jake, at that weight?
Yeah, I think a guy that I'm excited to watch is Steve Opoyan. Obviously, I think everyone knows him from the YouTube videos of him, being a little Mohawk dude who was just tearing through everybody. But, he had an awesome high school career. He won 3 New York State titles, was number 1 at 120 at the end of his career, and he, Super 32 champ. And he's also got 5th at Cadet Worlds one year. So, I mean, he's got a ton of talent. It obviously didn't work out for him at NC State, so he found a new home at Northern Colorado. So, I mean, I think he's got the right size coach for him with Nickerson there at Northern Colorado. So I'm sure he'll, have great workout partners, and I would imagine Nickerson's going to do an awesome job with him. So I'm really excited about Steve Opoyan. And then, another guy is Dean Peterson, obviously a Jersey kid. Extremely gifted, won a lot of big matches in high school. I believe he was a little banged up last year, so I am excited to watch him compete. I believe he was 132 in high school, so we've got him at 125 here. So I mean, you would know better than I would. Does Dean have a chance at starting at 25? I'm assuming for Rutgers then.
Yeah, he does. So here's what's going to happen there. Let's talk at that weight a couple battles. So we're going to have a room battle between Dylan Shawver, Ohio kid, NCAA qualifier, and Dean Peterson. So last year, Dean was having some weight issues. He started the year at 25, then he ended up blowing weight a couple times. He went up to 33. So he started this summer, really buying in about June with his diet. He's getting, walking. He was walking around in the mid 30s. He's already down to weight, looking good, training good. So that's going to be a room battle. Actually, I'm in New Jersey right now, so tomorrow morning this will actually be put out actually probably on Thursday afternoon. So Thursday morning, actually, I'm gonna tomorrow morning because we're recording on a Wednesday. I will be going to Rutgers practice in the morning. Actually, just going to go stop up, say hi to the guys, hang out for a while. So that's going to be a room battle, as well as Cooper Flynn and Eddie Van Tresca. So Cooper Flynn, obviously everybody knows Cooper Flynn. Eddie Van Tresca, Eddie went, he was a Jersey kid. He went and took a gap year at Vatech. Okay. Eddie was 9-6 in opens. He beat Flynn twice. Okay. He split with Greg D. And then Flynn was 9-3, and he had wins over Mink and Allen, who were qualifiers. Okay. He also had a win over Braxton Brown of Maryland, who is a guy to look out for this year as well. So that's going to be a room battle. It's more like Van Tresca's a mat guy, Flynn's a feet guy. Van Tresca seems to be able to ride Flynn. Flynn can't seem to get away. So that's going to be an interesting room battle. I think it's going to come down to who does better in open competitions, obviously against you know competition rather than who beats who in the room. So, yeah, just a few guys there at 25 as well. I think, we talked about those, and the guy that we didn't bring up really, or two guys were Braxton Brown and Nico Provo. A couple other guys you should look out for. You want to start off at 33, Jake, and let us know what you look at there?
Yeah, I think this wait's a little bit. There's a few less guys that I think are going to come in and be instant starters or have a really good chance to start and kind of push some of those top guys. But I do know one guy that I'm excited for, and it all kind of depends on this. We're talking room battles here. Ohio State, you have Andre Gonzalez at 133, 14-3 last year. Had some really good wins over a couple guys that we also have on this list. Fargo champ, California State champ. Obviously, he's got Nick Bouzakis at his weight. And why can't I think of the other guy? Indiana, Crown Point. Help me out,
Mendez.
Corby. Mendez, Jesse
Men-
Mendez. So, he's going to have to, I would imagine Andre's going to start, for most of the year. And I would think that they would throw those other two in for, those 5 matches, kind of see where they're at. But he is a guy I'm excited for. I remember watching him and Colin, I believe, Shriver wrestle a couple of times in high school, and they always had battles. So, Andre Gonzalez is a guy I'm really excited about, and I think he can, contend to be a national qualifier, win some matches. That is assuming he is in the lineup.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I like Gonzalez. I think I don't know. What's interesting with I think Mendez is bigger than Buzakis, so I don't know if they're gonna Jesse build into a 41, keep Buzakis at 33. To me, Buzakis is ready to go right away. So if he let's say with the 5 matches, right, you go out, you get some matches to see where you're at, and I mean they've wrestled true freshmen there before. They'll have no problem pulling the trigger and getting him out there if he's the best guy. To me, it's we're gonna have some battles up in Minnesota too, right? We had uh, Van Bauer, right? Van Bauer was 12-3 last year in opens. He beat qualifier Biscaglia. He's gonna have probably a room battle up there. Aaron Nagao was the starter last year, and I don't know who's gonna win that room battle, but Van Bauer is a guy that's talented that I look out for this year. Um, we'll move to 41, and I'll start at 41, and I'll talk about Illinois guy Vanderveer, Northwestern. Will he be the guy? I'm not sure. He's got national qualifier Frankie Telshahar ahead of him. He was a state champ. He was a 3-time placer. Was also a runner-up in Illinois. He was a top 10 recruit in the country. So we'll see what happens with him in Northwestern. If he's going to be the guy this year. He's a redshirt freshman, so you know that's where I like there. And why don't you go ahead with one, Jake? And then I think we're probably going to get Zach to chime in at this weight, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love Vanderveer. I watched him at Cheesehead a couple years. Awesome high school wrestler, really tough on top. I always thought he was giant for 138. So, I just assumed he would grow, but apparently he's still a 41 pounder. So he's going to have an awesome year. But I think the guy I'm most excited for, and I was extremely disappointed when he left Iowa for obvious reasons. I mean, I understand why he left, but, Wyatt Henson at Oklahoma, I think he is extremely talented. He had some awesome wins this year. I mean, he beat NCAA qualifier Quinn Kinner. He obviously a multiple time state champ, Missouri state champ. I think he is a guy who wrestles really, really hard. He stays in really good position. He's always going to be a tough out. He might not be ready to beat those top guys, but I do think he's able to contend at a weight that, maybe isn't super top heavy. So I mean, there's going to be a lot of like close matches in those, when you're talking like top 16 to top 24 there. So I think he's a guy that can really compete with some of those guys. Obviously, he's the son of Sammy Henson, so he had a great coach coming up, and I think he's going to be ready to rock and roll, assuming he can beat Moshe Schwartz. That is, but I know Zach's excited. We'll let him talk about this weight.
Let's freaking go. All right. You guys know if you listen to the Patreon show with me and Tyler, who I picked to win this whole entire thing, you guys might think I'm crazy because I'm picking a true freshman to win the entire weight at 141 pounds this year. So not only do you have to look out for him to start this year, I think he has a good chance of having a successful season. You guys just got done talking about Jesse Mendez. This kid beat him twice. Okay. So I'm pumped about it. I've never been more excited for a true freshman coming in other than the last guy that did it, a national champion, David Carr. Didn't win as he redshirted, right? So the rules are a little bit different this year. Everything that I'm hearing about Casey Swiderski is he seeks out the toughest competition in the room. Corby, I'm sure you're hearing the same things that I am. This kid is freaking good. I'm sure he's going to have some bumps here and there, but one thing that I'm super pumped about this kid is he did an interview recently on a wrestling media company that we won't give any shout outs to, but he said that he has circled the December 4th date on his calendar. He wants to go and wrestle in Carver Hawkeye Arena. He wants to wrestle Real Woods. So what better way to start off the season than getting a true freshman in Carver Hawkeye, a kid that's looking forward to it. He might win, he might lose, who knows, but I do know one thing, he's going to get better as the season goes on because that's the kind of guy that he is. So thank you guys for letting me do the honors. I know you guys both want to talk about him because you guys both know how good he is. So what's the ceiling for this kid, you guys think? Corby, I'll let you go first.
I mean, obviously, he's going to be a champion. It's just a matter of when, right? Is he going to jump those levels that quick? You know, the kid's amazing. Does he get there this year? I say 5 through 8 type. It's deep. It gets to be a grind. Does he have the ability? Yes. It's just hard for me right now. I'm not. I didn't buy a van, right? I didn't buy a cyclone van, right, and ride it around. So, I'm going 5 through 8. So that's what I think. What do you think, Jake?
Man, I've talked to a couple of the Iowa State coaches about him, and I mean, they're telling me he's a top 5 or 6 guy. That means something to me. I'd be honestly at this point surprised. I mean, just what I've heard from practice is that he's kicking everyone's butt. He's wanting to wrestle guys like David Carr. He's wanting to do the same things that David Carr is doing. So, I think that his ceiling is extremely high. Like you said, is he ready to be a top 3 guy? I don't know. I guess we'll find out December 4th when he gets to wrestle Rio Woods. But I think he's going to get better and better each week. And I look for him to be an All-American this year. I'd be I don't know if surprised is the right word to say if he does an AA, but I would predict it.
Right on.
Yeah.
I like those both respectful answers. So we'll keep the ball rolling here. We'll go on to 149. Corby, go right on ahead, my friend.
Wow, this is a really, really, really deep one at 49. There's so many kids here that are coming in. There's about, 6, there's probably 7 red shirts coming in that are going to be in the lineup this year. And then one true freshman who took a gap year last year. And to me, I'm going to say Shane Van Ness, Penn State, right? We didn't see him much as a red shirt, only went to, I think, one open, got dinged up. He was a top 5 recruit. He won Who's Number One. He beat Mendez. He won national preps twice. Um, he's tough. He's physical. Um, he's gonna be good on top. I think Shane Van Ness is one guy to look out for out of this group, for sure. And another is Tony White Rutgers, right? He beat uh, Keller from Princeton. He beat Brent Moore. He was a New Jersey champ. He was a two-time placer. I think he was maybe like the 86th recruit in the country coming out. But they like him in the room. He's working hard. Uh, Everybody likes his upside. So I think Tony White's a kid to look out for, as well as Van Ness at this weight. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I think Van Ness is an obvious pick. You know, being a Penn State guy, he was obviously an extremely high recruit. Has great wins, has an awesome motor. I'm excited to watch him. A guy I'm really excited for, especially with Bryce Andonian moving up. And, I'm not 100% sure what Virginia Tech is going to do with their lineup, but Caleb Henson is an awesome kid. I remember watching him at Super 32 a couple of times. He was a top 5 recruit coming out of high school, Fargo champ, Super 32 champ. I think he's a guy that can come in and contend for, the varsity spot. And if he is going to be the guy, he's a guy that's going to qualify for nationals and probably win a couple matches. He's that talented. So I'm extremely excited about him. And then, another guy, coming back to Iowa State is Panero Johnson. Had an awesome summer. I know he had some health issues that they talked about as far as, why he was getting tired. And it sounds like they're on top of that. So I think he's a guy that can really surprise people. He's got all the athletic ability in the world. It's more of a, can he hold up for 3 periods or not? And sounds like they're, figuring that out. And I think he's a guy that's going to, beat some really good guys coming through this bracket. And then, he's a guy that's dangerous, super good athlete. Those guys are really hard to compete against. I know Zach's excited about him.
Yeah, I got 2 words: psychological warfare. All right, psychological warfare. You got to make the guy break, and Dresser's on top of it. He's going to have him into shape. He's going to have him ready to go, but he's got to win his wrestle off first next week. I believe it's
Cam
next
Robinson.
week. So he's got a kid in Cam Robinson that's going to be tough. Cam Robinson gave Jarrett Dagan a 1-point match one year as a true freshman. Tall, lanky, they're kind of opposite body styles. Panero's kind of more short and stocky and muscle. Cam's more tall and skinny. So I think Panero beats him because I got to see Panero and Swiderski wrestle over the summer, and they had some good scraps. So, but he's going to be the guy at 49, in my opinion, for Iowa State. So he's been around the room a little bit too. I think did he take a gray shirt as well, or just a red shirt?
No,
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Man, I think he did, but I can't think off the top of my head. So many of them are doing it there, right? I know Panero did. I can't think of the top of my head if Cam did or not. He might not have actually. But yeah, I was shocked he's gonna go down, which tells me that he must like what's going on in the room between him and Panero, because 57's an open weight, right? And Cam's tall and lengthy, and I thought he may grow into a 57. Maybe he's just not putting the weight on like I thought he would. So, but yeah, I was shocked. 57's kind of an open weight now with Carr up, and I thought maybe he would, just go to 57. But he's going to challenge Panero, which look for that to be a dogfight. Up at 57, Jake, who do you like in coming out in this group?
Yeah, I think the easy one is Patty Gallagher at Ohio State. I got to watch him compete a couple times when he was in high school. He would have been a sophomore, I think, and he beat Cade DeVos in the Fargo finals. And so I got to watch him up and close. And then, just kind of coming up through. I mean, he won pretty much everything, who's number 1, Ironman, Fargo. So, extremely good single leg. I know he took a loss or two. He took a loss actually to a guy that I'll talk about next, but I think, another year in the Ohio State room, I think he's going to continue to build and grow. And I mean, I think he was a top 2 or 3 recruit coming out of high school. So he's got the talent, he's got the skill. It'll just be if he can put it together. And I think he's a guy that's going to come in and contend for an All-American spot right away. And then, next we have Levi Haynes, who actually beat him in an open last year. Levi Haynes is a true freshman. So he's He was a senior last year in high school. I think he took his senior year off to just train and compete at the college level, but he beat Patty in an open. And then, I think the thing about that is, will Penn State pull his red shirt? Will they not? I'm assuming they're going to use this 5 match rule to kind of give him, a chance to maybe beat some of those top guys. And if he does, I'm sure that they'll pull him. But I mean, you might know a little bit more about that as far as whether they're going to pull his red shirt or not. So, what do you see out of him?
I think they'll start out with more than likely uh, maybe Barraclaw, maybe for a while. We'll see what happens there. Not sure. My opinion would be that I think he's going to be ready to go. They kind of seem to have done that in the past, right? Wait a little while and then pull their freshman out later on. I think you could see him come out later. Just my opinion, could be wrong. We'll see his development and growth along the way. So, uh, to me, for the red shirt group, I like Luca Wick. Right, Wick's a name obviously we heard of before, right? And this is the next Wick, right? And this Luca, and he was 7-0 last year in opens at 49. He's going up to 57. He was a two-time placer, but he only competed twice as well in the state tournament in California. He was injured, and then they had the COVID year. So, but one thing about him is he benches coming out of high school. He benched over 400 pounds. So he's a strong kid. And then on the true freshman tip, I mean, some people call me crazy. I mean, but Aiden Riggins, to me, I think just my gut, watching wrestling my whole life and knowing a little bit, I think Aiden Riggins gets in that Iowa room and gets training. I just don't see how come January he's not the best 57 pounder in the room. He wasn't yeah, he cut some weight to get to 60, but he's not a 65 right now. I don't think. Could he grow into one? Yes, but with the hole at 57, to me, I mean, could you imagine Riggins and Haynes, Penn State Iowa duel, two true freshmen, January 27th, I think is the date. Um, Amazing. I think that'd be great to see. And then I don't know what they're gonna do with Messenbrink out at Baptist. We saw world silver out of him, top 20 recruit, 3-time Wisconsin champ, trained by Ben growing up. This kid's going out to Baptist, which, good for him. Make your own path, and let's see what they do. I believe they're going to redshirt him, but we'll get to see him getting some matches, and that's just another kid I wanted to, give a shout out to. So, 65, I think it's kind of a weight where we don't have a lot. I'll start out at here with an Illinois guy, Caliendo, Batavia, Illinois kid. Beat always dangerous Tanner Cook last year. Also, you Iowa people listening, he beat national qualifier Yant at an open. He was a Illinois champ, 3-time placer. Kid's a grinder, physical, in your face. Caliendo is a kid to look out for here at 65. And then what else you see, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're going to stay on the Penn State train with AJ Facundo. Obviously, an extremely big recruit for Penn State. Who's number one champ, won Fargo, won a couple medals at the Cadet Worlds. So he's got the skills. It just kind of seems like he might be a little bit better at freestyle right now than he is at folk style. So I think he's still got some growing to do. But obviously Penn State always, has their guys ready to rock and roll. And I think, just another year in the room, he's just got to develop a little bit more offense, and then he's going to be extremely gifted. I mean, he already is gifted, but he's going to be an extremely hard out for anybody, at this 165 weight, which is extremely tough. So it is going to be hard to break the top 8 at this weight. But, he's a guy that has the skills to do it. It's just going to be if he can, build on his offense and, maybe get a couple more attacks other than just a duck under. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I think that's where he struggled the most as far as, transitioning to college folk style wrestling.
Yeah, my opinion too is, like you said, maybe more a freestyle kid, maybe, transition in from takedown to turn a little more, or I'm sorry, a little better than he does, folk style stuff. But, I mean, he went to the right place, right? I mean, nobody's in the last 10 years, you know, done, top wrestling better than Penn State, right? So to me, this offseason, was spent on top for him. And I think you're gonna see him come out and, do his thing. So I mean, I think he's gonna be solid. I think he's gonna be right there in the mix. They always are. I mean, so I think to me it's interesting, right? Takedowns are two, reversals are two. I get a couple swipes, I get two, right? But what else? Four swipes, I get four, right? That's double any other move in wrestling. But you go around all these college rooms or high school rooms or whatever, and 80% of the wrestling is done in the room on your feet. Makes no sense. Like the 4 point turn is the turn that gets you the most points, right? So and it doubles any other point. So and you take a guy down and let him up. Guess what? You're +1. So I don't know. Penn State must have, they're obviously working their top game, and I guess maybe why others aren't. I don't know what's different. Everybody's trying to think about it and what they're doing different than everybody else. And to me, it's just top wrestling and staying loose in the flow. And it seems like they, you know, get into a lot of positions and they wrestle well in a lot of positions where, you see some teams, it's like they don't look like they're fluid in all positions, and they seem to look fluid in all positions. So, anyway, let's move on to 174. And why don't you start us off here, Jake?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Kyle Valencia as my favorite pick at 174. I think, he's not Zahid, but I think he is very close to Anthony. So I think he's, obviously has an extremely high ceiling. His floor is probably a little bit lower than, where Zahid was, but, he had multiple wins over NCAA qualifiers and Ishans and Hastings. So, he has the ability to beat those guys. And then, a full year in the lineup, and then, he gets a scrap with his brothers, and he's in a great room at Arizona State. And I think they've been waiting on this kid for a while. He had an awesome high school career, and he's someone that I think can help, bring about this next kind of like little run that I would assume Arizona State's going to go on. And then, kind of staying on the Iowa State train, I don't know that he's necessarily going to be their starter. Zach actually might know more than I do about this, but, Manny Rojas is a guy who was a really high recruit. He is a guy in this recruiting class that they have super high expectations for, and a guy that they're going to need to be a multiple-time All-American if they want to achieve the goals that they have set for them. So, he beat Ninehouse. He beat O'Neill. I know he lost to Edmund Ruth, but he was a multiple-time Michigan State champ. Did well at Fargo all the time. He's a extremely high recruit that's expected to do really well in the future here. So I can let Zach talk maybe for a quick second about Manny Rojas, but I'm really excited about him.
Yeah, he seems to be the guy that the coaching staff is most excited about as far as this upcoming freshman class goes, other than Swiderski, or right up there with Swiderski, I should say. I don't know if he's going to start right away. I know that Divine is banged up. I didn't see him in the Wrestle Off PDF sheet that came out today, I believe. So I think Manny Rojas could be the guy. Probably, yeah, I mean, they're not going to throw him to the wolves at the Iowa duel or anything like that, but they'll probably put him in, like Corby said, you can wrestle, 5 times or whatever without pulling a red shirt or whatever the rule is. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him that amount. But let's be honest, as much as I love Iowa State, I don't think we're winning a team trophy this year. I think we're looking at probably next year, David Carr senior year. We're going to Hilton South and Kansas City. So I think it'll be probably Divine's spot. He's been the guy last year. He had a pretty decent year last year. He went to the NCAAs and got banged up, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Manny Rojas step in there from time to time throughout the season.
I'd actually really like to see him in the Iowa duel. Maybe wrestle Swafford if Brands is gonna be out. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. Going to an Iowa State event tomorrow, so maybe I'll find out some more info there. But I would really like to see him against Swafford or Brands, to be honest.
I would agree with that. Who would you take? If you don't want to answer, you don't have to. You don't have to answer.
Honestly, I don't know. I would really like to see Rojas wrestle a college match before I make that prediction.
Perfect. That's a good PC answer, Jake. All right, we're gonna move on. We'll go on to
Well, no, Corby hasn't gone yet at 74, so I'd like to hear what he has to say.
yeah. Go ahead, Corby.
Oh, it's 74. So I'm going to pick a guy here. NC State, Joey Milano. This kid won a state championship in Pennsylvania at 189 pounds. Okay. Now we're talking redshirt freshman. We're down at 74. He obviously, Trent's pounding hoagies. So he's not beating Trent. So he's going down to 74. He was 22-6 last year in opens. He beat national qualifier Nazar from Cleveland State. And that was at 184. He's coming down. He was a top 30 recruit, PA kid. Look for Joey Milano to make some hay here. And then for the true freshmen in this, I mean, James Rowley was Wisconsin, 4-time Oregon champ, cadet bronze, 2-time world team member. Um, you know, I I could see him going, at 74. Everybody thought he was going to be an 84. I think he got to Wisconsin, got in the room, started rolling around, looking at 74. Maybe, hey, maybe there's somewhat of guys I can compete with there, and wouldn't shock me if the first weekend down there in Jacksonville they don't throw him in the mix and see what he can do. I think they have a few ranked opponents there that weekend, so look for him to pop in and maybe make some hay in this year as a true freshman.
I have a bold prediction for you there. How about in that Florida duel that you're talking about, Manny Rojas and James Rowley right off the bat? What do you think of that, Corby?
Oh, you could definitely see that. I don't know if um, Iowa State goes with Broderson. I know Broderson did a lot this summer. He picked his game up. He trained. He went to the OTC, trained all summer. Divine's been dinged up, probably not expected back till maybe mid-December. So let's see what happens in this wrestle off. Um, and then see what Rojas can do, and maybe we would see that. That'd be unbelievable to see the two fresh. That's what I'm gonna like about this rule, right? And it's gonna be interesting as we go along in the year too, and for the prediction side of things, or talking duels, or we could see this guy versus this guy, right? There's gonna be a lot of what ifs and twists that could happen, with the 5 rule. So it's gonna be really interesting. 184 and 197 are kind of weights that there's really not a lot of guys, but one guy, um, Rutgers has got John Poznansky, right? 184. He was fourth, I believe, as a true freshman. Lost to Keckeisen in the third, fourth match, I believe. And then he last year didn't have the year that he thought he would have, right? So he's back fresh, feeling good, but has a red shirt available. They got a stud coming in, Brian Soldano. This kid's funky, can wrestle from all positions. He's gonna be like a nest, right? He's one of those kids for a big kid, wrestle from his back, right? He'll gator bacon. You'll have him on his back and think you got him, and he's going to elevator kick you over. He's funky. He was a 3-time New Jersey State champ. He had 127 wins in high school, 99 by pin. So this kid's a pinner. He was a top 10 recruit. He'll definitely get his 5 matches. Jersey's going to love him. Let's see what maybe they redshirt Paz and go with Soldano. They're probably going to figure that out in the mix tomorrow when I'm in the room. I'll get my eye on him. He trained with them all summer. So that's one guy at 84. That's kind of a weight that there's not a lot. So let's just move on to 97. What do you, it's kind of the same thing. 97, what do you like, Jake?
Yeah, Jackson Smith is a guy I think that kind of, to me at least, came somewhat out of nowhere to make the cadet team, where he got 5th place. He was 21-6 this last year. I don't really know a ton about him, as he was kind of a guy that, I didn't really follow until he, made this little run here. So he's a guy out of Maryland that I would assume that they have super high expectations for now. I mean, obviously he had a great redshirt year going 21-6, and Maryland's a program that's on the kind of up and coming, and they're going to need guys like this to step up, and that will help with recruiting later on down the road if they get a guy like this to maybe make the podium or make the round of 12 and have a really good year. It's only going to help build that program up. So I guess what do you know about Jackson Smith that I don't know?
No, I like him. If I top my head, I could be wrong. I think Georgia. I think he came out of Georgia. Could be wrong, but I think that's what my brain's telling me right now. Um, So I like him. I like him a lot. He's a big kid. I think he's going to shock some people. Um, this year, right? People, Maryland's been down, right? Where Clemson came in, right? The first year in the rack, Maryland. I don't even know if they won a match at the Big Ten tournament that year, right? And then the next year they're chipping. Well, now look at man, they got Braxton Brown coming in at 25. You got the Miller boys out of Missouri coming in. One will probably go 41. I think Ethan will probably go 49. And then you've got this Smith, right? So they've got some good recruits and coming in. So let's see. Let's give Clemson some time. They're chipping away. They are being obviously we're talking about them. They're getting more respectable. He's getting guys in. He's working with his guys. So I mean, he also, you know, Cochran last year had a good year. Kid that obviously he didn't recruit, so now he's bringing in his own guys. Let's see what he's doing there, and I like what he's doing so far. So I like that. Now let's go to heavyweight. Also, kind of a weak weight. There's a kid here that wasn't a huge recruit coming out, but he did win a Fargo Greco. He was a New York State finalist. He was third at preps. He's going to Brown. It's Alex Semenenko. And this kid was a judo world team member. He was ranked as high as sixth in the world in judo. So he can throw you. Obviously, he's going to be exciting. I'm not saying he's going to be a guy that's going to, you know, be a world beater right away or anything, but he's going to be an excited kid that's going to go probably as a true freshman, actually. Um, and for Brown, Ivy League kid, obviously smart, so good for him. And let's see what he's got. I think he's going to be an exciting kid. And then, what do you like, Jake?
Yeah, the other guy that we kind of talked about was Nathan Taylor for Lehigh.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously they lose Jordan Wood, who had been their heavyweight for I don't know the last like 15 years it felt like, but obviously obviously that's a big loss for them. But I think he's a guy that can step in and be a national qualifier. He went 21-11 last year. He beat a national qualifier and Golden, so like he's got the ability to do it. And I'm assuming he's been working out with Jordan Wood the last couple of years. So he's a guy that could step in. But like you said, these kind of weights here are not as deep as the middle and lower weights. When you got guys coming in, they're a lot of guys that are already juniors, seniors, sophomores in college. So I think this next crop of kids coming up are gonna make these upper weights better. But for right now, there's not a ton of young guys coming in at these three last weights.
No, I would agree with you there. So Zach, are you gonna get access to these wrestle offs at Iowa State or not?
I'm probably gonna go to the day that's open for the public. I feel weird asking if I can go to the private event. I feel like if I was invited, I probably would have been. I don't know. I feel like it would have been just open to the public. I don't know why they do it that way. They used to let you watch kind of all of it, or we used to not really do a tournament either. It would just kind of be like hand-picked matches, at least in the KJ era. That's how they did things. But I don't know yet. I'm undecided. If I can sweet talk Dresser tomorrow night at the benefit dinner, then maybe I'll sneak up there. But I'm pretty excited for how it's going to go. I know we talked about in the Discord earlier, which if you guys are listening, you're not in the Discord, go ahead and hop on in there. We're going to be talking wrestling all season. But we talked about Nate Schoen in there, and I think he could give Sam Schuyler some fits if they wrestled. I'm also hearing Sam Schuyler's the guy. He wasn't in the brackets this morning, and then all of a sudden I don't know if it was a typo, but all of a sudden they put him in there, and he'll be sitting in the finals. And if Nate makes it, he makes it. But he was there last year taking a red shirt or a gray shirt, I believe, and he got banged up. I think a foot injury or something like that. You would probably know more than me, Corby, about the injury itself. But I think he's a guy, down the road maybe. I think he's probably the future heavyweight for Iowa State.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that in the future. I don't think currently Skylar's made some gains in the off season. I think he's, the guy. they believe in him, they like him. So I think you'll see Skylar be the guy. Um, so yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm excited for Iowa State. Getting some recruits in, some better high level kids, and let's see what they can do. Right? I mean, there was a lot of chirping last year at that duel. Right? We were there. It was hot. It was heated. Iowa State. Now coming in this year, I've heard it for you know 11 months now from Zach since we left that building, that how this year in Carver, this is it. This is the year. This is the year that the Cyclones are going to get it done. So we're going to see. I mean, we're really not far off here. We're sitting maybe 6 weeks away from that event,
Yeah,
7
I'm
weeks.
excited. I'm so excited for this season. This whole season, I'm glad you guys are doing this show. Closing statements from both of you guys. Last week, I can't believe you guys got that many picks right. Now I got to listen to you guys in the group chat talk about it. And but I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing for the show. I think the fans were into the show. We had some positive comments, some text messages, some DMs. So we're going to keep this thing rolling. If there's something that you guys want us to cover or talk about, or different segments or whatever, questions, maybe we'll take live callers. Maybe we'll do a live show at one point. But Corby, you got anything else for the people? And then we'll toss it off to Jake and we'll say goodnight.
No, I'm with you. I think I don't know if we'll, maybe like you said, we could do some live. I know when I come to town in December for the duel, we should probably, even if we've got a even if we've got to drive back Sunday from after the duel and do a
I
show
got a hotel and
late night.
we're going to get a hotel and maybe we can do it in the hotel after it's done.
Okay, I'm going to be in all weekend, but I'm with you. I think this year too, we should spin off if we go live or if we just go recording. But I think we do some guests. I think maybe we bring on a wrestler, 2 or 3. Maybe we bring on a few coaches. I'd like to maybe, bring on a coach or two. Maybe like do a show like one week. Let's say maybe Iowa State week, right? Maybe we could get Metcalf or Dresser on, at the beginning of the week, and maybe Brands or Morningstar towards the end of the week or something like that, right? And get the feel of the duel, or not those two particularly for that match, maybe,
I
but
was going to say no
something
chance.
like that.
I was going to say I thought you were going to say have them both on at the same time. I'm like, there's no chance of
Absolutely
that.
not. Absolutely not. I'm
There's
saying like
no.
record one with like Dresser, them like on a Tuesday and the other one on a Thursday talking about the duel. Definitely we're not gonna, hey, we don't want no remake of what was that event there that they sent Gilman 2 years ago?
Oh,
Fight
The
night.
Fight night.
Iowa fight night. Yeah, yeah. We don't want to stalemate fight night. We don't want to get into all that. But I can't wait. It's going to be an exciting duel this year. Um,
I don't want to
it'll
drag
be
on the
the first time we're together.
I don't want to drag on the show anymore, but I feel like we did forget somebody. Corey
Who?
Land.
You know, I don't think he makes I don't think he starts though. Do you?
Um,
I don't know. I guess
What are you
I can.
hearing?
no, I'm not hearing anything. I brought that up out of nowhere, and I apologize because we're about ready to wrap up the show, and we're about to hit that hour mark, which is exactly what we wanted. But I felt like we left you and I out a little bit, and I know that he was a stud coming out of high school, and surprised he wasn't on the list. That's all.
The only reason I think Land wasn't on the list is I don't think he starts. I think he's one of those kids that, you know, um, he went up in weight and challenged himself. So where does he fall, right? I mean, what weight's he gonna be at? You know what I mean? Is he gonna be a 33? Is he gonna try to cut all the way to 25? I don't know those answers actually. And I haven't asked. And I just don't know that Land's a kid that you see starting right away. But I could be wrong. Maybe he's in the room doing work.
Maybe we should get Coach Schwab on here, and he can clear those things up. Jake, anything you want to say to the people before we bounce?
No, I'm just excited that we're finally doing this. This is something me and Zach have talked about for, I don't know, whenever we first met in the driveway, just hanging out. So I'm just really excited we finally, kind of finalized this, and we're just doing it every week. So it's going to be an awesome wrestling season. Extremely excited. Always fun to talk wrestling with you guys.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, folks, and we will see you guys next time. Shout out to Barbarian Apparel and hit subscribe. Corby, that was a good show, man.